"I need you to teach me how to talk to a woman," I whispered to my neighbor, ashamed of how badly my hands were shaking. I expected her to laugh, maybe even close the door. Instead, she looked at me for a long moment and said, "Then practice on me first." I didn't know it then, but those words would change much more than my dating life. They would force me to confront the loneliness I had hidden behind polite smiles, and they would show me that sometimes the person who helps you find courage is quietly fighting a battle of their own. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of one person making a difference in another person's life, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. You never know when a simple story might remind someone that they are not alone. My name is Daniel, and at 36, I had become an expert at avoiding anything that made my heart beat too fast. I worked quietly, came home quietly, and spent most evenings eating dinner in front of the television. My wife had passed away 3 years earlier after a long illness, and somewhere during those painful months, I had forgotten how to be a person instead of a caretaker. When a coworker finally convinced me to go on a date with a woman named Emily, I agreed mostly because I was tired of everyone looking at me with pity. The problem was that I had no idea how to date anymore. I rehearsed sentences in the mirror, changed my shirt 7 times, and searched online for advice that only made me more nervous. That was when I thought of Sarah, the woman who lived next door. She was around my age, always carrying groceries, books, or flowers, and somehow she had a calmness that made even ordinary moments feel peaceful. We rarely spoke beyond greetings, but she had once helped me carry a broken table to the trash after a storm. So one evening, desperate and embarrassed, I knocked on her door and asked if she could help me practice talking to Emily. Sarah stared at me, then smiled gently. "Then practice on me first," she said. We sat on her porch beneath a yellow light while the evening wind moved through the trees. At first, I stumbled over every sentence. Sarah corrected my posture, told me to stop apologizing after every word, and reminded me that a conversation wasn't an examination. Slowly, I began to relax. She asked about my favorite food, my childhood, the places I wanted to visit. For the first time in years, someone wasn't asking about my late wife or whether I was coping. Someone was simply interested in me. We practiced again the next evening, and then again. What started as dating practice became something neither of us expected. Sarah told me about her failed marriage, the children she had lost contact with after a bitter family dispute, and the years she had spent convincing herself that needing someone was a weakness. I told her about my fear that loving anyone again would somehow betray my wife's memory. One night Sarah looked at me and said that grief didn't mean we had to build a house inside it and live there forever. Those words stayed with me. Eventually, I went on my date with Emily. I was nervous, but I didn't pretend to be someone else. We talked, laughed, and even shared dessert. It wasn't a magical romance, but it was a success in a way that mattered more. I had finally stepped back into the world. When I returned home, I found Sarah sitting alone on her porch. She congratulated me, but her smile seemed unusually tired. I asked if she was okay. She finally admitted that she had been feeling forgotten by everyone around her. Her children had stopped calling, her friends had moved away, and most evenings she ate dinner alone in a silent house. Suddenly, I understood something heartbreaking. I had asked Sarah to teach me how to connect with someone, while she had been quietly longing for someone to connect with her, so I sat beside her. We didn't practice anything that night. We simply talked. Months passed. Emily and I remained friends, but Sarah and I became inseparable companions. We cooked together, walked after dinner, and helped each other through ordinary difficult days. Neither of us was rescued by the other. Instead, we discovered that healing sometimes happens when two wounded people stop pretending they are fine. One rainy afternoon, Sarah handed me an old photograph of herself when she was young. She smiled sadly and said she had spent years believing her best days were behind her. I looked at her and told her I didn't believe that.